Well, hey everybody. Welcome to another ECH post-game live. This one after, frankly, a disappointing 2-1 shootout loss against the Columbus Blue Jackets, where the Kraken went in against a Blue Jackets team that was sick, tired, hurt, and on the second half of back-to-backs. And you got to get 2 points out of this one. Good teams find a way to get 2 points out of a situation like this. And the Kraken come up short. They do get a point. They do get to overtime. They do get to a shootout, but I think you do have to be disappointed with the result in this one. But not disappointing though. On the flip side though, let's talk about our wonderful sponsor, Queen Anne Beerhall, before we get started, because we do have a watch party coming up at Queen Anne Beerhall Sunday, November 23rd, 2 p.m. against the New York Islanders. And that's going to be a great time. Looking forward to seeing so many of you. And also, that's the Kraken's next chance to break the dreaded, wrong overlay, to break the dreaded back-to-back curse, if you want to call it that, but the back-to-back streak of 16 in a row. And I've got a good feeling about that one. I think that one will be a better game than the one tonight. So let's kick it off here. We got our first super chat of the night from Sean. Thank you so much, Sean, for the super chat here. This game irritated me more than the Sharks game last week. No excuses. And I agree with you on that. Like, the Sharks game was frustrating in many ways, but I think this one, you can consider the factor the opponent, especially since San Jose's been doing so well. Like, they're actually good. They seem legit. And when you compare it to this game, there really is no excuses against this Columbus opponent. Like, the Jackets, I do want to credit them though. Gutsy win for the Columbus Blue Jackets with a bug going around the whole team. Yeah, everybody's taking warmups and they're just basically seeing who's the most healthy that can kind of play and feel okay. You've got Jet Greaves in net with a great performance after having started the game last night against the Edmonton Oilers and losing in heartbreaking fashion. Like, credit to Columbus. They showed up. They gave effort. They worked really, really hard in this one, and they absolutely deserve the win. On the flip side, though, if you're the Kraken, I don't think the Kraken played to the best of their abilities, and the Blue Jackets earned it. I think the Kraken let them hang around, and I think you can play well enough if you're the Kraken to outwork them and make it so that you close this one out in regulation and you don't have to worry about the Jackets. And I think the Jackets outplayed them for long stretches in this one as well, and a lot of mistakes I want to talk about too. But I'm totally with you, Sean. I think this one is a little more irritating than the one against San Jose, just factoring in the opponent and where they were. Next super chat here from Schultz. Thank you, Schultz. Time for Botchell to earn his money. VS, pull off a trade for someone who can score. Time to give Newman another game. As far as the trade, I do wonder if the Kraken get on a little bit of a slide here. Maybe you look to change some things up or kind of inject another player into this lineup. I know I got suggestions on Twitter from somebody saying that maybe they should try and flip Marchment early and kind of give that opportunity maybe a little more to a Berkeley Catton or to a Yanni Newman. I agree. I'd like to see Yanni Newman back in the lineup. I want to see him play another game because, look, it's a 2-1 loss here. The Kraken just consistently have struggled to score goals. They're not generating offense. They're not scoring goals. They're near the bottom of the league or at the bottom of the league in a lot of those categories. And Yanni Newman's one of the few guys you have that's got a deadly shot and that's a real threat to score potentially 20 goals in this league if he gets the opportunity. So yeah, I would like to see more opportunity for Yanni Newman for sure. And I think that goes also with the theme of the podcast from this week of letting the young guys play and have some more opportunity. I think that's what you're going to need to do in order to keep pace with a lot of these other good teams in the Pacific Division and their young talent. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. And yeah, I think we probably will see a lineup change or two after this one. That would not surprise me at all. So thank you for the super chat there. And I want to scroll up to the top because I think we ought to address the biggest positive out of this game that I want to talk about. And that is Matt Murray. And Jamin's starting it off in chat here with, can we keep Murray forever? What a game by him. That was awesome. And then, so many people, General Pancakes already getting attached to Murray. I see a lot of love for Matt Murray in here, and it's absolutely deserved. I think he was the best Kraken player tonight, and it wasn't particularly close. He had a fantastic game, kept the Kraken in it in a game that they were, I think, really outplayed for stretches of this one and gave up some really big chances, especially on the power play. A lot of scrambly situations. We've kind of noticed that with Murray and net, but he makes it work. He stays calm, stays in position where he needs to be. And even in the shootout, I thought he looked pretty good because he was big in net. And I know the 5-hole one beats him and the perfect shot on the second one, but I just loved what I saw from Matt Murray tonight. And scrolling down to the bottom of chat here, Sean, Matt Murray is Joey's backup. Alex, almost 3 goals saved above expected for Matt Murray. And that is absolutely a difference making game. If Matt Murray is not in net, I think the Kraken do not get even a point out of this one. He really earned it for this team, and he stole a point for the Kraken tonight, and that's absolutely what you want out of your backup goaltender. And to Sean's point, saying Matt Murray is Joey's backup, I think he really should be at this point. I think this game should have won him the backup job. Plus the rest of the body of work. I think overall he's been a better goalie than Philip Grubauer this season, but I don't know how you look at this game from Matt Murray and not go back to him against Winnipeg in a couple days. I think he has to be your choice in net. He's stepped up and he's won this backup job the way that you were hoping he would. And I hope the Kraken recognize that and will play him again in their next game. I believe in the coaching staff to reward the effort, to reward merit here, but Matt Murray, fantastic. I think he was the biggest positive for the Kraken. And yeah, hopefully this just solidifies him as the backup. I was hoping somebody would run away with the job. Looks like Murray is. So that's excellent because they're going to need that, especially if Joey Decord's out a little bit longer term. And you don't need to worry about playing him too much or overplaying him because he's barely played so far this season. So you don't have to worry about that either. They can just keep running with him as long as they need to. I mean, it could even be a Martin Jones type situation from year 2 if he keeps playing well. So I see some stuff about the Tuesday post games or post losses. Rumors of the curse are growing. Yeah, Maddie on board with that it's cursed. Kraken Queen. This is another data point. I will admit, Mason, cursed again. I'm still hoping. I'm still choosing to believe that maybe the Tuesdays aren't cursed. If this continues, maybe we'll have to reevaluate and see. But I don't know. I hope not, guys. I hope not, guys. So let's see. From General Pancakes here, not really understanding some of those shootout choices. Yeah, I mean, you look at the Kraken's top players in shootouts. Just percentages wise, it was a little puzzling. One day, I would love to see Adam Larson in a shootout. I'm gonna keep calling for it, but I just don't think it's ever going to happen. But even if you don't go with Adam Larson, I know you have your shootout ace, Freddie Gaudreau, that's not in the lineup, but just some of the shootout moves were kind of unimaginative. I mean, even Kakko, who has a pretty good percentage overall, like the thing with a goalie like Jet Greaves, this is what I want to see. And I think it's where Eeli Tolvanen succeeded, is he's a smaller goalie. He is shorter, and he doesn't kind of take up the whole net, especially up high. And so if you can make a move early on to get him to go down and then roof the puck, that's what you should be trying to do against goalie. And I think the Kraken kind of got the book on that. Jordan Eberle tried it, but Eeli Tolvanen able to succeed on that. I think that might even be just an issue of kind of coaching and doing the pre-scout and telling the guys, hey, here's what you need to do. I would have liked to see maybe even a Chandler Stevenson. I bet he could have gotten Greaves to bite and probably pick the top corner of the net. There are a few other guys I would have gone with besides who they did. But credit to Tolvanen. Like, he executed that perfectly. And I mean, in my mind, he may have earned himself another look in the shootout the next time they go there, because well executed there on a smaller goalie. I think a lot of his moves don't necessarily work on the bigger goalies, but on a smaller goalie like Jet Greaves, I think that works. Let's see. I see some shootout comments here at the bottom. Lambert wanted to get Marchment, Kakko, and Tolvi a shootout goal to get them going, but clearly that didn't work, and now they probably feel even worse about not scoring. I do wonder if maybe the like get them going type of thing is there, especially with Marchment. Marchment is the one that really puzzles me, and especially the move that he went with, because the Forsberg move. Jet Greaves is the kind of goalie that has a lot of good lateral movement. He's smaller, but he's able to move more in net and kind of get across. That's the kind of move, the Forsberg, the one-handed kind of tuck it around, where you tend to do on goalies that don't move as well side to side. And so that one was just really puzzling to me. I don't understand the Mason Marchment selection, but easy to say in hindsight, but Adam Larson, guys. Next super chat here. We got a super chat from Jenna. Thank you, Jenna. This defensive system is so boring and our offense is non-existent. I love them, period. But this is lame hockey. And this, I think, is the downside of the Lane Lambert defensive system. You look at a lot of the stats, especially the advanced stats around the NHL, and the Kraken rank very highly, very well in defensive stats, right? They don't allow a whole lot. They rank anywhere from middle of the league to higher end of the league, but they don't generate much offense. There's a reason you see them at the bottom of the league in expected goals generated by quite a bit. And they've been lucky in their finishing, and they've scored more goals than you would have expected. But, this is the type of game that you get when you have the Lane Lambert system. The idea is that you're playing this kind of game against, say, the Dallas Stars, which I think they did a couple days ago. And that's a win. If you can play this way against the Dallas Stars, you can drag a better team into this kind of boring game, get a point out of it at least. And that's going to help you in the standings over the course of the season. But when you're playing this type of game against a tired, sick, injured Columbus Blue Jackets team, that's when it becomes a problem. You need to be able to kind of flex your skill at times and your offensive abilities when you're facing a worse opponent. And I just think this system, this way of playing, doesn't really allow for that. And so that is one of the downsides of it. You do force good teams into boring games like this where it's close, but maybe bad teams can also kind of force you into a game like this. So that is one issue with the defensive system, but it's not changing this season. Like, Lane Lambert's not going to change it up and go run and gun. And as we saw last season, the Kraken can't play that way. They're not skilled enough offensively. I think Jordan Eberle said that on a TV interview after the game against the Sharks, saying basically we're not skilled enough offensively to play a track meet style of game. And he's right. Like, they don't have really any other option. And I agree with you, Sean. This was more boring than the usual Kraken game, to be fair. Definitely. Like, this was extra boring tonight, I think. And I think everyone kind of watching saw that. Let's see, scrolling back up in chat here. Going up here. Bryce, suddenly our offense is Ryan Winterton. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Ryan Winterton. Like, he's producing, he's scoring, like, he's going to the right areas, he's doing the right things. He made himself open, kind of opened himself up for the one-timer on that play. I think Winterton's playing really well. But yeah, you do want contributions from other people. But I think Winterton deserves a little shout out there. He's playing well. And then Jamin with the 1 point. Kraken are still third in the division with a game in hand over the Sharks, who are in wild card 2. Yeah, let's check on the standings here because it's so close at this point in the season. It almost like doesn't matter because it's all just within a point or two of each other. But yeah, the Kraken did briefly fall out of a playoff spot tonight, but with the point, they're back in one. But the Pacific is just all so close. You're going to have to keep winning and doing well to keep pace because San Jose is hot. Anaheim is hot. Vegas is cold, but they're going to turn it around at some point. Kraken are going to need to keep getting this points because, as we said on the last podcast, I think that was the title. The Pacific Division is good, actually, and so it's going to be competitive. Let's see. From Heather, most interesting part of the night was that we have confirmation that Little Cat has caught on in the locker room, and Mush calls him Kitty Cat, and they meow at him on the walkout. I absolutely loved seeing that, and I think that's the sign of like a tight knit locker room, that sort of thing, where the guys are all doing that and having fun with it. And I think Mason Marchment, like, as much as he's not a fit for the system that the Kraken play, and I think on the ice doesn't really work out that well, I think he's a great fit for the culture of this team and a great fit in the locker room. And that's, I think, what he's best at here. And if he can help just fix the culture, I think the acquisition will have been worth it. Just, maybe look to trade him at the deadline instead of re-signing him, just given the lack of fit on the ice. So, all right, next super chat here. A big one from Kitty B Kraken. Thank you. The law of averages says next post game will be a win, and any game that gets you a point is a good game, at least worthy of a super chat. Well, thank you for the super chat, Kitty B Kraken. And I guess, yeah, the law of averages, if you look at it the right way, maybe might say that they're due for a win next game, or more due than if they had won tonight, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But yeah, if the Kraken can get to overtime and get a point in every game, they're going to be just fine. I just think you look at the circumstances of this game, and I'm sorry, but good teams find a way to get 2 points out of this. Like, this is one, looking back at the schedule, and especially with how competitive the Pacific in the West is going to be, you need to get 2 points out of these types of games. This is basically a scheduled loss for Columbus, with everything going wrong. And you have to take advantage of those. Like, this is the difference between teams that are in the playoff conversation and those that are not. I don't want to be too negative about this because, like, it's fine for the Kraken in the standings. They keep pace a little bit, but these are the big opportunities, because next game you play Winnipeg, and they're an actually good team, and now you're going to have to try and beat them to basically, make up for this one, or at least get to overtime, and that's going to be a tougher task. Not that they can't do it; they always seem to play well against Winnipeg, but that one's going to be tougher. So, looking back on the season, you want to get the points in the games where it is a little bit easier. Let's see, more love for Matt Murray. Love to see that. Let's see, from Christian, what do you think of Ian calling the game, RJ? I thought he was pretty good. I think the chemistry and the fit works a little bit better with JT, just because JT doesn't take over the broadcast quite as much as Edzo does. I think with Ian calling the games, and this is not really a knock on Ian, like it's just anybody in their first or second time calling an NHL game, someone like Edzo is going to be pushing, going to kind of try and take over and talk a lot. And it's too hard to kind of fight back against him. Whereas I think it's kind of more of an even balance back and forth between Ian and JT. And I liked it. I enjoyed watching the broadcast tonight. Let's see. Jason's so bummed I'm out of town for the meetup. Oh yeah. With the, with the for the watch party. Thank you. I couldn't find words there. Sorry about that, Jason. All right, I'm back. I think my internet just cut out for a second. Well, if you're out of town for that one, we do have a second watch party at the Beerhall also. This is a good chance for me to plug it here. Thursday, December 4th for the game against the Oilers. That's a 6 p.m. start. So a couple chances for people to hang out. And also, if you can't make either of those two, there's going to be more in 2026. Those are just the ones through the end of the year, but we're definitely going to have more. Maddie, robot RJ. Yeah, I don't know if I did like a robot voice. I can't hear myself here, but yeah, I guess I cut out for a little bit there. Let's see. Man, thanks for everyone for the active chat tonight. This is great. We got a lot of people in here, even after, kind of a tough loss, but I love to see that from everybody. Let's see. Daniel, seems like Alexiak didn't know Murray was down and out on that 5-on-3 goal. Is there typically some kind of, let's see, fire call? Oh, like to, let everyone know they're down and out. I think that play was just so chaotic. And Fantilli made a really good play getting himself available for the quick one-timer on that 5-on-3 goal. Like it's hard to do anything about that when you're down by 2 men on that. Like I don't really blame anybody specifically on that one. That's just tough. And credit to Murray for almost getting that with his glove too. I thought that was really impressive that he even got a piece. He almost actually stopped that too. But it's tough when you go down 5-on-3. You can't really count on stopping it. 5-on-3s are so difficult to defend. Let's see. Talking about like kind of the Stevenson, Shane Wright thing, and and the ice time and all of that. Oh, and there's the rest of the comment from Daniel. The goalie can call out when they're on their backs. Yeah, I don't think goalies, because the thing is the other team will be able to hear that too, and I think that might ultimately not, be an advantage there. But yeah, I hadn't thought about that sort of thing. I don't know. I don't think it's a thing that goalies tend to do. Let's see. Chuck Catton got almost no playing time in the third period, but heck, isn't he the kind of player who should excel in a shootout? Glad Ellie came through. Yeah, I mean, I was surprised a little bit that they didn't go with Catton, given that the shootout lasted. Well, I don't know. Didn't he take a shootout shot at one point earlier this season? I don't think he scored. I think he got one attempt and didn't score on it earlier this season. I'm sure someone can tell me at the bottom of chat if what the correct answer on that one is. But he's got the hands. He's a really good player. I think he's a better option than most shootout takers that the Kraken have right now. I wouldn't mind seeing him in a future shootout. I almost forget that that's another option. Who I think would have been really good in the shootout tonight? Yanni Newman. Wasn't in the lineup, but I think he would have been great for the shootout tonight, just given the shot that he has. I think Greaves would have really struggled with it from close range. Rebecca, system aside, tonight they should have poured more shots on a goalie playing back-to-backs. I agree. I don't think they really tested Jet Greaves enough. They were still selective with their shots. And look, I know this is just the way the Kraken want to play, but Columbus was good enough at back-checking and making sure the Kraken didn't get the kind of grade A chances that they rely upon. And if that's the case, you do have to ultimately throw more shots on net, especially against a goalie playing both halves of a back-to-back. Super chat here from Dave. Good to see you in here, Dave. Really appreciate it. And I saw your comments also on the podcast too, that you miss the every game post games, but I'm glad you're able to make it here for this one. Just finished watching the game, and Murr has solidified himself as the backup. We lost, but damn, y'all got to be proud. Great to be able to join a post game live. RJ and chat, y'all are wonderful. Well, thank you so much for the kind words, Dave. I mean, as always, you're always in here and supporting us, so really appreciate that. And yeah, Matt Murray, he must have earned the backup job tonight. I would be really surprised to see Philip Grubauer get the next game, and even the one after that if Joey's not back by then. I think this is the game where Murray really solidified himself as the backup, and I'm hoping the team sees that, rolls with it, and he keeps getting the opportunities until he plays poorly. I think he's earned it. So, and I think a lot of fans like it too. He's fun to watch. Like for a big goalie who's normally like a stay at home in your net type of guy, I think he is really fun to watch because there's a lot of chaos, but he makes it work. It's the kind of thing that can be scary, but if he stops all the shots where it's chaotic, you're fine with it. And, aside from the 5-on-3, he was perfect tonight. So love the effort from Matt Murray. Love to see the love from everybody for Matt Murray. Cause I think also just talking to him, he's a fun guy to talk to. Like he's an interesting interview. He has, interesting comments. I mean, goalies always do, like goalies always are just interesting people, but I like the insights I've gotten from Matt Murray so far this season. Michael, RJ, and Dylan were 100% right in the deep dive. It's time to play the kids more, way more. They're never going to be able to prove anything with these minutes. And that's the kind of thing I think if you see more efforts like this and the more they might fall in the standings, at least I hope you'll see them playing the kids more and giving them more opportunity. I'm going to go look up the final ice time for like the forward lines and such. Cause yeah, I mean, you had the Beniers line playing number 1, Stevenson line playing number 2, Catton, what was his final? I mean, like Catton, 8 minutes of ice time, not a whole lot. Newman not in the lineup. Shane, 12:34 in this one. I mean, they're still playing Shane Wright like a third line center at best. And that can't continue. Like if they're going to have a chance of this core keeping up with other teams in the Pacific, you got to give Shane Wright more opportunity. I thought it was interesting them moving him to wing to start this one. And maybe that's something you look at to get him more ice time, but it didn't really get him more ice time tonight. So I wonder what you might see. Maybe you make him just a wing in the top 6 and really try and stack it. I don't know, but you have to find some way to give him more opportunity. Wisconsin Kraken fan, what would you talk to the team about after this game to motivate them for the next game? That's a really good question. I might ask Dylan about that because I think he'd probably give a better answer. He's the more motivational type of guy, but I mean, I think really the team might just need another, kick in the pants type of speech, right? Where like, look, guys, you got to try harder than this. Like they weren't particularly focused tonight. The effort was, it wasn't a horrible effort night, but it wasn't great. It wasn't good enough. It's not going to be good enough against Winnipeg. I tend to think that this team, look, after the last 3 years and 3 coaches, I tend to think this team is more motivated by, the negative side of things and be like, come on, guys, we got to play hard and like whip them into shape type of thing than with positive reinforcement. I hate to say it. Like I'd like them to be motivated by positive reinforcement. They don't seem to be. So I think I would just get on the group and be like, this isn't good enough, guys. And if you don't play better, I'm going to make you skate kind of thing. I think that's really the only direction you can go with it. I would really also harp on one of the things I want to talk about that I haven't seen really brought up yet is just the mistakes and the bad penalties, because I think there were a lot of those in this game. I mean, I think of the Ryan Lindgren penalty that leads to the 5-on-3. I think of a too many men call. I just like a lot of undisciplined penalties and unforced errors, those kind of things that I just think you need to be more focused about. And, maybe that's a really hard, intense practice that gets the guys focused again. But I think they need to get their focus back. And I'm not a good like motivator or coach. I'll ask Dylan when he comes on, but that's what I would be kind of harping on. Let's see. Lindsay, I will say I did like winger Shane going net front way more and trying to drive offense instead of being worried about being a defensively responsible center. I think that does open up a part of his game where he can be a little bit more aggressive. And you saw it in moments tonight where Shane was doing those things, getting net front. He has the freedom to move around a little bit more and get to the more dangerous areas. I want the team to run with it. I just want them to play him a little bit more, and maybe in a top 6 type of role if you're going to do that, and let that confidence really grow. Like I think there could be something there, but I just want to see more opportunity with it. But you're right, Lindsay. That's a good observation. Yeah, Maddie sitting the cat in line for the last half of the third made me sad. I know. It's they got to play the kids a little bit more. Hey, Circling Seattle Sports. Hi, RJ. Thank you, Charles, for hopping on and joining. That's very nice of you. Are you are you like down there in the media circle with Dylan right now? Is this what's going on? But yeah, sorry to miss you at the game. I wasn't able. I guess I should explain why I'm here at home. It was a travel day for me, and so I got in really not with enough time to make it to the game, and so we figured I'll just start post game from here at home. So unfortunately had to miss this one in person, but I know Dylan's going to join us hopefully pretty soon from after the game, and we can hear the reaction from the coaches and the players as usual. But I did miss watching the game with Dylan tonight, missed watching it in CPA. It feels weird always when there's a home game that I'm not able to go to, but I mean, at least I didn't miss the best of games, I suppose. Let's go back in chat here. Yeah, and just more stuff on the offense. Like Jeremy, it seems like the offense's plan is hope is just hope. Sean, it's the only way this composition of players can play. I agreed on those points. And then Christian, okay, I can see how Lane Lambert's system creates a situation where performance is relative to the other team. Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, and I'm sure that's what the comment was in response to, with just how the system, it brings you closer to good teams, but it brings the bad teams closer to you. I think this is just a result of that. Sean, I feel the Kraken need 4 points this week. That's going to be hard after this. I mean, let's see if you count, yeah, Thursday, Saturday, Winnipeg, San Jose. Probably, I'd say to keep pace. That's what you need. But I mean, yeah, San Jose is good now. It's like, oh, we got San Jose, but now they're actually good now. But it's still a very winnable game. And you beat Winnipeg last time, so I think 4 points is certainly possible. But it's going to take a lot of effort. And yeah, Chuck would ask me about Shane on the wing, but he played so little, it's probably hard to answer. Basically answering Lindsay's question is kind of what I thought, but yeah, he didn't play enough. Like I didn't feel like I got to see the experiment really play itself out and work. James, are the guys being a little too unselfish? Seems like everybody wants to pass and nobody wants to put the puck on net. I don't even think it's a matter of being, it's a good question there, James, because it definitely fits with what we're seeing. It certainly looks like that, but I don't think it's a matter of being unselfish. I think it's a matter of they're trying to take care of the puck. And I covered it a couple of deep dive podcasts ago, but I think when it's stressed that you need to take care of the puck and you don't want to be skating back the other way. It's just so much skating that they have to do. You are tempted to maybe try and pass the puck or keep the puck among yourself and your teammates rather than shooting it, because shooting it leads to a loose puck where you might have to skate and back check more. And this team skates so much already. It's really tiring. So I just think they're extra conservative there. And it's not even necessarily like they don't want to shoot. It's just they don't want to give up possession of the puck, because it's tough in this system when you do that. And I'm glad some people supported me on like the I'm not trying to be negative here exactly, but just saying that you should beat teams like this isn't negativity. It's just kind of reality if you want to have a chance at the playoffs this year. And with Sean, where Zoe mentioned it somewhere, talking about the trade value for Marchment. I don't think he's really lost much of his trade value with the start that he's had. I think he's still going to be valuable to teams that are looking for that type of player. And I think there are plenty of teams, like he's had a long enough career that teams know what he brings. And I think they could maybe see, like if they're scouting, they can probably see he's just not the best systems fit. I think you can probably get similar thing for him at the deadline. Not completely regardless of how he plays, but I don't think the bad start's going to hurt him that much. And then everyone loving Piper on the desk there. Agreed. Like Piper does so well at everything she does, as Jenna says. Agreed. Like she works really hard, and it's stuff that people don't even fully see behind the scenes. But Piper puts a lot of work into what she does. She's very smart. She's very talented, and so yeah, like she, not surprising me at all that she can excel at the desk here. And so we've got Dylan. We've got Dylan here, so he's ready to join us. I'm just waiting for the thumbs up from Dylan in a little bit here, but we can kind of hear what the reaction from the players and coaches has been. All right, Dylan's giving me the thumbs up. Let's go. All right, Dylan, Well, sorry I couldn't be there with you.
Are you?
Well, I'm sorry I couldn't be there with you. I didn't say anything about the game.
Yeah, true.
But I miss hanging out with you. That's all. Just friend to friend. But as far as the game goes, not the best one tonight. I mean, what was the mood in the locker room after that one?
I mean, somber might be taking it too far. I think everybody was just super disappointed, right? Like they knew what this opportunity was going up against this Columbus team and everything that Columbus was dealing with in this one. And I think they all knew that they let this one get away from them. And this was a really golden opportunity for them to go in there and pick up 2 points at home. And they just didn't. And I think that, especially with the way the third period went, overtime, the shootout, all of that, I think it was one of those ones where, the energy is just gone. Right. And so it was one of those where if everybody wants me to come in here and say that they were all really pissed off or super sad in the locker room, like it's not. I think it was more of like a numb feeling to everything that kind of happened, which honestly, how all of us felt, I think, media wise as well, because this was one of those games where, you start off feeling good at the beginning of the night. They get up 1-0 lead. You still like, okay, they should probably be doing more. They don't do more. And then it all just slowly goes from there and it just beats you down, right? Like this game just beat you down. And I think that that's just kind of how everybody was feeling by the end.
Yeah, I mean, it felt numbing just watching it even from here on TV. I imagine it was probably even more extreme in person there, and that's probably the reaction from the guys. I'm curious about Lane Lambert because I think the players just playing that game, they're exhausted. But Lane Lambert, we know he hasn't been shy about criticizing efforts that he feels like the team wasn't good enough. Was he that critical tonight?
Sort of. I mean, he talked about the fact that they need to score. They did not score. They needed to have better opportunities. Well, he didn't say that they needed to have better opportunities. He actually thought that they got good opportunities at the beginning of the game anyway, and that they just need to find ways to finish them and score. And, I agree with that to a point. I think he might still be being a little generous as far as like them getting a lot of opportunities early on in this one. I'm not sure I would agree with that, but he was very critical about their finishing ability, which, you've played 126 minutes, I think, now at home. No, 129 minutes, something like that, now at home. And the only guy who has scored is Ryan Winterton.
Yeah, we got a comment. We got a chat in here earlier saying, "Oh, what Ryan Winterton is the whole offense now."
Yeah, that's apparently the plan. He talked about how good that fourth line has been, the energy, the tempo that they're able to play with. I mean, we certainly saw that this game. We've seen that from them for a while now. Got to get to top 9 to play that way. Where's Mason Marchment? Where's Ellie Tolvanen? Where's like any of these guys? Where was Shane Wright tonight? Shane Wright playing on the wing with Berkeley Catton and Ellie Tolvanen. That line even exists? It certainly didn't exist at the end of the game.
I say they barely played.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the final ice time, but they were barely deployed in the third period.
Yeah. But it's not, again,
they haven't done anything to earn it.
Yeah, they didn't do anything to earn it. I don't know that any other line did anything to earn it. Like, the Chandler Stevenson line didn't do much. Matty Beniers is out there working his hardest, but Capo Caco didn't exactly do much. Jaden Schwartz, probably his quietest game all year. Like, it's a problem. Like, it's one thing for a game or two to be like, wow, fourth line, best line. When we're saying it for 4, 5, 6 games in a row, that starts meaning something else, right? As excited as we could be about that fourth line and what they're doing, it starts to really tell a story about the rest of the team when each and every night we're like, wow, that fourth line really went out there, tried their hardest, and they were able to grind out the one goal that you got at home.
Right. And for a team that really needs to have depth do well in order to succeed, you need more than just the fourth line. That's the last line of your depth, but you need all 4 lines rolling. And that's something that they've been pretty clear about from the start. Now I've got 2 super chats here from Dave piled up, so I don't want to make him wait any longer here. I'll read the second one first because it just says Dylan, a bunch of exclamation marks and 4 fire emojis. So care to react to that one, Dylan?
Yeah, I will take that. I'll take the fire emojis right now too. I'm pretty cold, a little chilly in here tonight.
There you go. Well, thank you for that one, Dave. And then the second one, you're not going to like as much. Super shout out to Charles, Jade, and Miracle from the Circling Seattle Sports. Is Charles there?
No, I was just checking though.
Oh, okay.
That seems like something.
Charles has been known to be hanging out around around the post game recording. Okay, so I was saying he now has license to jump on if he's nearby.
Yeah.
But yeah, CSS does a fantastic job with their coverage. Good friends, of ours, and also, I mean, their women's sports coverage too, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, for every team in the city. Like, I don't know how they
Yeah.
do it. All the sports teams. If you want coverage of any Seattle sports team, they've got you covered.
No, Charles is the consummate pro. He's absolutely fantastic. Nobody works harder in this business in the Seattle area for sure than him and Jade, the rest of the team. Like, everybody is just fantastic. They're all incredibly nice individuals, all incredibly professional. They do fantastic work over there. Definitely recommend them for coverage about all sports teams. And I'm really excited to be able to cover the Torrent with them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave knows what's up. And thank you, Dave, for the 2 super chats there. Now we've got another super chat to get to here. And I want to talk to you about Matt Murray, of course. I think this is really the question. And I'm curious if you guys talked to Matt Murray or if Lambert had anything to say about Murray, but I'll read the super chat first from JTB Hockey. With Murray cementing himself as the backup, do we still carry 3 goalies? Anyone we could potentially call up to spark some offense? Furcus, Molgard. I know those are also names that one of them anyway, that gets you pretty excited. But what do you think of that? And I mean, what did the coach and players have to say about Matt Murray?
All right, so I'll answer the question first.
Yeah,
Matt Murray has earned the job. He should be the guy. Look, we all kind of probably felt that way going into the season. At some point, yes, it's going to make sense for them to not have to carry 3 goaltenders. I mean, obviously right now Joey's on IR, so you do need Philip Grubauer up here. When it's time for Joey to come off of IR, I mean, we'll see if somebody else can just go on IR. That's kind of how the Kraken have been playing this game for the last little bit. It's just as one guy goes on, the other guy comes off. The problem with bringing up somebody is, are they going to actually get played? Because right now you have Yanni Newman. He's not playing.
Yeah.
Why would it be any different for Molgard or Furcus or any of those guys?
I mean, they'd be sitting with Newman in the press box.
Exactly. Like, is that better for them? I mean, right now, if Lane Lambert very much feels like he can't play Yanni Newman for whatever reason, you could just send Yanni Newman down and bring up one of those guys. But I think that kind of tells you that that's, it's just not it. And unless you're going to do like a full swap of like a line, right? And really, and I don't even know that you could do this, but you could try to, take 2 vets out of the lineup and put in 2 young guys to try to send a message or something. And honestly, if you play a couple more games like this, it might be time for something like that. But I just think that right now what we're seeing with Yanni Newman kind of implies that they're very committed to the vets for the moment. And I don't know that sending Grubauer down for one of those guys, which, in theory, they probably should anyway. I wouldn't expect them to get into a game. And honestly, I'd rather they just stay cooking in Coachella Valley than just come up here, get added to a group that is very much, it feels like, at a rock bottom, or they've at least hit a level on the way down. And a rocky level. And I don't know that like adding them to that group, them then not getting into games or occasionally getting into games, but only playing 8 or 9 minutes and then hanging around for another week or 2 before being sent back down to CV is really going to do anything for them.
Yeah, and they shouldn't be expected to be the ones to come up and solve this team's problems. Really not fair.
No, the whole point of this roster construction is that you had too many options.
Right. I mean, that's what the veterans are for, right? This is why there's no spots for the young players, because you're supposed to have veterans that can hold down the fort and not make you have to worry about this sort of thing. So I'm with you on that. And so, yeah, as for a call up, we'll see. But for the time being, I think the roster is going to look the way that it does.
Yeah. So as for Matt Murray, because we did talk to Matt Murray, he talked about it. He said, look, Columbus is a skilled team. They have lots of good players. Called out Kirill Marchenko and Adam Fantilli, talked about how skilled they are, especially Marchenko. Really had some things to talk about with him. The interesting thing was he talked about when Columbus is on the power play, Voronkov just gets net front and he can't see anything. He said, I wasn't able to see anything when they were on the power play because I just couldn't see past him. He said he was an unbelievably skilled net front presence, and he really, really called out and singled out Voronkov for being a great net front player and for taking away his sight lines for the power play opportunities that Columbus had. And I thought that was really interesting because I don't know that we've ever really heard a goalie post game say that, just single out one person and say, this guy made my job and my life extremely difficult tonight. Good on him.
No, we don't usually hear that because goalies, I mean, it's a level of maybe not wanting to give away your secrets. And so you don't want to, say what was working on you. But this is what I was talking about earlier because people were asking me about Matt Murray. And I said, he's an easy guy to root for too, because he just gives interesting answers
He does.
in the media stuff. Like, he's fun to talk to. He just gives you an extra insight that maybe you weren't necessarily thinking about. And this is what I'm talking about, where he'll be transparent about something like this. And that's something that I hope the Kraken are able to take and address and
Mhm.
improve, because it's that kind of thing that certainly if he's willing to say it to us, then I'm sure he's saying it to the team and to the
I
coaching and
would hope
everything.
so.
And it's something, that you can address, or I mean, at least they'll hear it secondhand from us at the very least. But yeah, that's very interesting to hear from him. And I love to hear that stuff because you get in the mind of what really bothers a goalie and what you can improve defensively. So Dylan, I mean, do you think then they didn't do a good enough job clearing out the front of the net tonight?
I mean, obviously on the power play, they didn't. If Matt
Yeah.
Murray's going to say that after the game, right? And look, it's always difficult, right? We've talked about this in the past with power plays. You're generally going to have a free guy net front. That's just the way most power plays end up in the league. But I do think part of the issue that the penalty kill has had, and we've talked about this in the past as well, they can get a little bit far away from the net. And so all of a sudden a rebound opportunity is there and it's available for the other team. We've seen lots of other teams' power plays take advantage of that and score power play goals against the Kraken because they've had somebody there able to get a rebound opportunity and the defense just isn't close enough to home to make a difference. Maybe if they're a little bit closer to home, they take away those opportunities and they're able to kind of harass and gently move out of the way somebody who's taking away your goaltender's sight lines. So, especially with a guy like Matt Murray, who's a big dude, like it takes a lot to get in front of him and then take away his sight line when, he could look over a lot of players' heads. So, I think that it's one of those things that, yeah, this should be something that the Kraken internalize and carry forward for the very least for the rest of the games that Matt Murray is going to start for them when they go on the PK. And just in general, I think one of the things the PK has struggled with and why it's struggling in general has been their lack of kind of net front presence in front of their guy.
Yeah, agreed on that. Now, before we get to the couple super chats we have lined up, just while we're on the Murray topic, because we have a question from Heather here. Do they keep Murray on, or does him being this hot right now give him trade value for a better or sure thing goal scorer? And then the Kraken just make do with Grew as a backup. Murray's trade value still would be minimal. He's
Yeah.
a veteran signed to a low end deal on an expiring deal, so he doesn't have a whole lot of trade value. The idea is just to keep him on as the backup, and I don't think they would want to move him, even if they could get like a somewhat decent return, mid-round pick, whatever. You don't want to go with then Grew as your only option. That was the whole point behind signing Murray.
Right. You need a secondary option in net. Given how close every game you're going to play this year is going to be, your path to the playoffs is to, win as many games as possible, of course, but also get to overtime. Matt Murray gives you a much better chance of doing that than Philip Grubauer. So you got to keep him around for that. And look, he was a free agent this offseason, and there wasn't a lot of teams knocking down the door. So I don't know why there would be now.
Yeah, exactly. So this one from Edward, and it's a classic Edward,
Love it.
wordplay here. Love this stuff from Edward. Is Team Pepto, because that effort was abysmal?
So much better. Oh, that's so good. So much better than I was even hoping for. Yeah, it's look, credit to Columbus, right? Because this is at some point, I think Columbus did a good job of recognizing that the Kraken were not going to put their foot on their necks and just take this game and kind of run with it the way that frankly the Kraken should have. And Columbus said, why can't we get it? Why
Mhm.
couldn't we win this game? I guess, right? Like they're going to take dumb penalties. They're not going to really score. They're not going to pressure us. They're going to let us move in on them. And I think that Columbus did a good job of recognizing that the second half of the second period, and then really come the third period, just pouring it on and just deciding, hey, we want this game, and we're going to want it more than the Kraken. And if not for the illness, if not for the game played yesterday and all of those other factors kind of going into it for Columbus. I mean, Columbus could have just, kind of basically done what San Jose did and really piled on a lot of goals here at the end, I feel like, because they controlled the third period.
Absolutely. I think the difference in effort was was just surprising to see. And I think it was noticed by everybody. And as Edward says again, wow, it was a bummer game when even Dave is posting something negative. And that brings me to the next super chat from Dave. It's so frustrating that the team's only concern is building the fan base and not building the future by giving ice time to the young bucks, and then a frowning emoji. I think also maybe referring a little bit to what we talked about in the last deep dive, where the Kraken are just going to need to give more opportunity to their younger players if they want to keep pace in this specific division, especially with the way these other teams are trending. Dylan, you that was kind of your big point this week on the deep dive. And, after another game watching this, I imagine you would just feel even stronger at that point.
Right. It's one thing if you're winning because of your veteran players, but I think that we can all agree and that the veteran players are not showing up for you right now, that they're struggling. And generally, one of the ways you can maybe wake up your veteran group, if the normal things of, talking with them, trying to coach them through it, all of that kind of stuff, performances like tonight don't do it itself. You can bench them for a young guy, right? Threaten their job a little bit. That's normally something that a team may try. We'll see if Lane Lambert decides to do that. We'll see if the fact that, you do get a point in overtime in this one and you were in it till the very end and you lost in a shootout, if maybe that's enough to maybe hold his hand. I don't know. I think that at some point this organization, for one reason or another, because now we're talking about multiple avenues and reasons why these young guys should be playing more. They're going to have to play the young kids. Now, the one guy that I will say kind of needs to step up is Shane Wright in that conversation. I think Berkeley Catton deserves that chance. I think Yanni Newman deserves to be in the lineup. It's ridiculous to me that he's not. I think the power play could greatly use him. I think in all of these games when we're talking about, they need somebody who can shoot, they need more shots on net, they need somebody who can finish, to quote Lane Lambert tonight, Yanni Newman can do all of those things. That's all he does. That's literally the only thing he does. So you could get him in there. You can give him opportunities. But I think that Shane Wright needs to step up and start demanding those opportunities because, quite frankly, he's the most veteran of the young guys. And I think that he is the one that if he was looking a little bit better and if he had played better on the wing tonight, the opportunity was there for him to move up into the top six halfway through the first period because nobody was doing anything. Right?
Exactly.
But he didn't do anything either. Like I thought, and I put it in the Discord when this game started, and we knew for sure that he was on the wing. I said, this is his path to top six ice time. All he's got to do is go out there and play well. And then he didn't. And I mean, the opportunity was there. He could have had 18, 19 minutes tonight on the wing if he played well enough to earn it and deserve it. And instead, I forgot he was playing in this game. I literally forgot he was playing in this game after the first period. Didn't see him in the second. Well, he was out there in the second. Didn't notice him. Definitely didn't see him in the third because he wasn't even out there. And then in overtime, he was out there for, I think, one shift. And it's just like, dude, at some point, you got to just go out there and earn it. And he's just not right now.
And Christian saying, Coach Dylan coming out, love it. I was just going to let you cook there for as long as you wanted to talk. No, I thought that was really good about just him needing to step up and earn it. And I want to go back to a question we got in a super chat earlier too. As long as we got Coach Dylan here, I want to ask Coach Dylan, we got this question. If you're Lane Lambert, what do you say to this group? What's your approach to this group now after this game to motivate them to find their game again and to get better and play better? I struggled to answer a little bit, but I'm curious what you have to say because you're usually better with this kind of approach.
So I usually shy away from the idea of questioning motivations and questioning effort levels and stuff like that, right? And I've been fairly consistent on that through the 5 years that we've covered this team because I think that they are professional athletes. They are going out there and trying. They're doing a lot of things that none of us are going to notice or appreciate, but it's important work that they're doing. But I think with a game like this, with an opponent who is struggling as much as Columbus was struggling, to the point where, and a huge shout out to Dean Evison for doing this, by the way, Columbus head coach, saying, I don't know after morning skate, I don't know who's going to be out there for me. Everybody's going to go out there for warmups, and then we're going to see who feels like they can play. Like, that's an unbelievable admission from a head coach after a morning skate, just letting the other team know that, hey, we are down bad right now, and we are having to start a goalie who started yesterday, and all of that, right? Just letting you know that even the guys that are going to play are definitely not at 100%. That's literally, Columbus told you that before the game started. They told you that this morning. The fact then that you don't come out and you don't have effort, you don't have a killer instinct anywhere from anyone on this team. None of them, even the guys that kind of played well tonight, I feel like didn't totally have that. The fourth line maybe at times had that. I think this is the game where you go in, if you're Lane Lambert, and you legitimately question these guys, and you ask them, do you even have that in you? Because this was the game to show it, and you wouldn't even need to like go all out Tom Brady mode or something in this game, right? Like all you had to do was show up and try, and you were going to win. And then you just didn't. And then you just let them take the game from you in the third period and then go on and win in a shootout and the shootout's Lane Lambert's fault because he didn't put Adam Larson in, of course. But I've never quite seen something like this where the other team lets you know ahead of the game that we're just down bad. Like we're just not going to have it tonight. Okay. Sorry. We're just not going to have it tonight. And your team decides to play down to that level instead of even just playing like a bottom third NHL team. All you had to do was play like Columbus and you win the game, right? Like a healthy Columbus. Like that's all you know what I mean? Like I think everybody but the Calgary Flames wins the game tonight. That's all you had to do.
I completely
be the St. Louis Blues. You could have been the St. Louis Blues. You would have won the game. I don't know what else to say, but like unreal. I will say this. Shout out to Zane from Davy Jones' locker room who looked this up. In the Kraken's 5-year history, they have played a team who has been forced to start the same goaltender on the second half of a back-to-back 4 times. The Kraken are 0-4 in those games. So
wow. I can't remember the previous times. That feels like something I would remember.
I don't know. We were all talking about it on the press bridge, and we all realized those were always like part of the darkest stretches of Kraken hockey, and we've just all blocked them from our memories. But like, again, I think at that point it is time, and it's fair if you're the coach, if you're me, if you're any of you listening, to look at this group and say, do you guys have a killer instinct? Like, do you have that ability to just decide that you want to win a game? Like the most winnable game you will ever be gifted. Do you want it?
Yeah, so I'm glad we're on the same page, Dylan, because that's all I could really come up with was just these guys need another kick in the pants. They just need that motivation. I think this is a group that unfortunately does not respond to positive feedback or motivation. No. They only respond to the negative, it seems like. And even then sometimes. And so I think you're absolutely right. You got to question the motivation because there's just no excuse to lose to this team. And that's kind of how I started this off. There's no excuse. And I think I see everybody in chat on board, it's talk, Dylan, preach. Yeah. I was feeling the same thing. I even typed in the chat. I just said, I'm just letting Dylan cook. This is great.
When was the last time you heard a coach say what Columbus said today?
Never. I've never heard that before.
I've like that.
I've heard coaches admit that there's a flu bug going through, but as far as the warm-ups, just saying, look, we're putting everybody out there because nobody feels good, and we're just going to see who's healthy enough tonight. I've never heard that kind of thing before. Yeah. And that should ignite a killer instinct in you. If you hear that, you should be as motivated as you can possibly be as a pro athlete.
Right. That should tell you, okay, this is the game where I hit my contract incentives, right? Not that those exist in the NHL, but like that's the mindset, right, that you have. That tells you to be like, hey, look, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go beat Colorado against the Oilers the other night, right? When they won 9-1 and like they weren't even trying and they could still score goals against poor Calvin Pickard who had to get put into that game. But like, that's the idea. Like this should have been the game that everybody in that locker room gets up and they go up and they're like, hey, this is the game where we get our goal differential positive. Right? Like these are the games where you make up that differential. And instead, goal differential went down.
Yeah.
Ow.
Well, and the thing is also, you're on home ice. And the players have talked about this going back to training camp, right? About how important it is, you put these good efforts in on home ice with the home fans because they've disappointed them plenty over the last couple of years. this is also your chance to put on a massive show for the hometown crowd.
Yep.
And I mean, I think it was the opposite of that. It was maybe the most boring game of the season. At least from watching it on TV, it seemed that way. And a lot of people in chat agree. And that's just what it turned into. So we've got some super chats here from Dave. I want to make sure to get to, and I'll get to the second one first again. Dave, let him cook. Dylan and RJ, never hold back. Let your emotions flow. I mean, it's what we try to do. Like, I mean, I think we've always been pretty upfront and honest about what we think of this team and how we feel about it, for the good or the bad.
Yeah. I was ready to come into this all beaten down too, but you know what? I think all those fire emojis from Dave's first super chat, they got to me. They got me going. That is the fire I'm cooking with.
Yep. And then from that one from Dave, for those that are here that haven't watched Dylan and RJ's deep dive, go watch it. It was absolutely incredible. More fire emojis for Dylan. Yeah, I mean, you got him fired up. So thank you, Dave. Thanks for all the super chats. So many tonight.
It's been really interesting, the reaction to the deep dive, because I don't know that I've ever felt worse uploading a podcast than that one. Because I just felt like, oh man, we lost the plot at some point. It felt like, and we went negative, and I was like, that wasn't the idea, and all of this stuff. I was really worried it was going to be too negative. And look, it is negative. It's not like it's not. Yeah. But I was like really worried about it. And then the response has been incredible. I had people come up to me tonight and talk about it.
Really?
Yeah. So all right, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess the thing is I should feel like I do a bad job more often.
I guess so. Well, no, I think a lot of that was just because I kind of stepped on your toes, and I covered a lot of the points that I know you wanted to make. And we talked about this afterward. Like, I just think it could have been better from that perspective. If I had basically just let you cook and let you talk the whole time, I think it would have turned out better than it did. But I think that's mostly what it was. So next time I'm gonna just let Dylan talk.
We got a little existential and long-term on the end too that probably didn't need to be there, but you know what? Like, it is fair. And like games like tonight make it so that it feels like that conversation is fair, where again, just, whether it's the idea of playing the young guys and that being a potential problem, not just this year, but in the future as well, or it's the young guys like Shane Wright not stepping up and wanting it that make me think that it's a problem now, but in the future as well. And so it's just one of those things it's just tough.
Yeah. And it's stuff we try and avoid if we can. Like, we don't want to be harping on this stuff. It's just, sometimes
this year hasn't been that bad.
No, it hasn't. And that's why I've been trying to focus on the small picture, because the small picture is okay. Like, even in this game, like, you take away a lot of the context, you get a point. You're still at a playoff spot in the standings. Like, small picture, it's all okay. But what this all in context says about the bigger picture, there's important things here, and that's what we're discussing. And also want to thank Jenna here for the super chat. Please, guys, just always do you. The Kraken need to hear this, and thank you for that, Jenna. I thank you, everybody. We appreciate the support. It really helps us, and it's very reassuring and freeing knowing that we can be honest with you guys and just kind of give our honest thoughts. And for the most part, you guys are you're behind us the whole way. So
yeah, definitely.
So there was a lot of stuff that I missed in chat with all that going on. A lot of valid points that we could probably spend another 20 minutes at least talking about. Like, I want to,
yeah, I was gonna say, while you search through them and find them, I just want to shout out everybody. 14 super chats tonight. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you all, especially after a game like the least entertaining game they're probably going to play all year. Like, thank you all for being here for one, and then contributing like that. That's really awesome.
Yeah, it really is. Like, just the support from you guys is just incredible. And I'll read out a compliment here from Dan, because why not? It's a compliment. Yeah. By the way, great job, Dylan and RJ, on the Kraken No Table on Mitch Unfiltered. Love the mashup of my two favorite podcasts. Yeah, always enjoy going on Mitch's show.
I was worried we were a little too negative there too. And then, you know what? The team really backed us up tonight, didn't they? Jeez.
They sure know how to do that. Events, yeah. It aged well in a bad way, I guess. Yeah. I mean, because there's a few different things I could cover, and I want to, because I know we got stuff about the decor and stuff like that. I mean, I'll tie it into a conversation about veterans being benched, and have we ever really seen that, and the consequences. I know someone mentioned about even Philip Grubauer is still here in the organization, right? Like, there's so little accountability for the veterans generally. If it's up to you, right? Because I would certainly bench at least one veteran after this game. And I know one name that comes to the top of my mind that it might be is Brian Lindgren. I thought another bad penalty in this one leading to the 5-on-3. Like, where do you go from here as a coach? I asked you about the motivation, but as far as the lineup, if you're going to maybe scratch someone or bench someone, who are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is it's not like the team is allowing a ton of goals, right? It's not like they're getting outscored and that's why they're losing. So I don't think if you're Lane Lambert, you look at the decor right now, even though I think like it's part of the problem. I'm just trying to think like an NHL head coach.
Fair.
I think you look at the forward group and I think that you try to pick somebody there. My concern is that you're not going to pick the right person, right? You're not going to go after it. You know, you can't go after Capo Caco. Dude just got back. But he hasn't really done anything since he got back. You can't go after Eberle or Schwartz because they're your leading scorers.
Yeah.
Right? Like, again, that's a problem that they're your leading scorers, but they're your leading scorers. You're probably not going to bench them to send a message. I think Mason Marchment is the guy that I really think makes sense because it's a combination of multiple things. It's the inconsistent effort. It's the lack of creating chances and opportunities for himself or his line mates. He's just not creating offense right now. It's the inconsistent effort and it's the discipline, right? Like it's the trifecta. He is the
he checks all the boxes.
It's everything, right? The problem is he's on a decent contract and you gave up an asset to bring him in this year and it's still kind of early in the season. Does a head coach bench a guy like that? And a guy who everybody on the team loves. So like on one hand, that is a way to send a message. If you bench the guy that everybody loves and you say, hey, I don't care, but also you risk
you guys step it up, maybe he gets
to
come back.
Right. But you also risk upsetting the group if you do that. And so I just don't know that he'll be the guy that ends up getting sat. But I do feel like he is the one that makes the most sense to bench right now.
Yeah, of the forwards, I would certainly agree with you there. And like I've talked plenty about it because people have asked us, especially on social media, about Marchment and the lack of performance and from him. I just think he's a bad system fit also. And we've seen, like you mentioned, all three of those things. He makes sense from an asset management perspective, making the trade because you can flip him for more, and for the locker room. And I think for the locker room alone, he could be worth it because like he seems to be helping in the room a little bit. But yeah, I think he's got to be the guy. You said Michael Chandler, bench Chandler. We all know that's not going to happen.
If you had anybody else who could win a faceoff right now, right? Like that's the problem. Again, Freddie Gaudreau's hurt.
Yeah.
Matty Beniers.
He's skating again.
Yeah, he's skating again. So there's a you know, the sun is breaking on the horizon there, I guess. But Matty Beniers is just not. I'm at this point, I'm starting to wonder if he's ever going to be like an above 50% guy, maybe when he's older. And then Shane Wright has been terrible on the faceoffs this year. It feels like I don't know what his actual season number is, but it feels like every game I look at and Shane Wright's at like 33%.
37.4 is his number on the season here for faceoff percentage. And I mean, heck, even Chandler Stevenson isn't a 50% guy. He's at 48%.
Right, but 48% is
it's definitely better than the rest.
Higher than 39.
Yes. No, yes, for sure. But no, I'm with you. Like you need somebody who can take a clutch face off, and he does do a lot of that at this point.
Right. And so like, you know, it's one of those things where you don't outright scratch Chandler Stevenson because you need him for certain key draws. But again, if Shane Wright looks halfway decent at all right now, I think that you could then swap the amount of ice time they're getting.
Yeah, Chandler Stevenson as a 3C should be okay. He should be able to win those matchups.
Yeah, that's fine. But it's just not, I don't know. So like, and I see people asking like, do faceoffs even matter at this point? No, that's not the thing. But like at some, like there are going to be 2 to 3 times in a game where like, damn, winning that faceoff's going to probably make a big difference for that situation. And the fact that you only have like one guy who's probably over 45% means that he needs to be in the lineup somewhere.
Yeah, the way I like to think about it is face-offs in general do not matter, but some specific face-offs matter a lot. And so you just need somebody who can take those. Let's see. And maybe we can close it out here with this super chat from Dave. We could spend all night hearing you guys go on and engage with chat. RJ and Dylan are the shiznit, and so is community.
Don't do that again, RJ.
I won't do that. Dave, please don't make me do that again. I'd have to read the super chat, but please don't.
Oh man.
But thank you, Dave, for the super chat and all the
Yeah.
kind words and everything tonight. I'm so glad you guys are with us even after a tough game like this tonight, and after kind of having to say some of the brutal truths here.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll see what happens. I think that there's still a chance that the Kraken like kind of turn it around after this, right? Like this could be the thing that they rebound and they see it and they're like, okay, we're bouncing back from this, and things change in the next game. It's very possible that that happens with this group. I think when we need to get concerned is say next week's time that we're doing post game live, or really next week's deep dive. If the team doesn't really look that much better than this, I think that that's the point in the season where a lot of the like kind of break glass in case of emergency options that we've been discussing here for the last little bit, that's when those really have to be on the table. I think that we've seen enough from this team. We've seen enough from Lane Lambert and the coaching staff making changes in game and between games to give them a little bit of time, right? To give them like 2 more games throughout the rest of this week. But if you cannot get noticeably better over the course of this week, I think that then we have to worry about the death spiral, because that's when I start thinking like, okay, the things that have been kind of fundamentally wrong with the group are still wrong with the group. This coach isn't changing it. The guys you brought in to help fix the culture aren't changing it. And just, blow it up and get to the off season when you can truly turn over that core and try to find one that works, because that's the other thing, right? Like as bad as a lot of the situation is, everybody for the most part's gone this offseason. like you get a chance to start over with all your young guys, and they're going to get ice time because you're just going to have nobody else on the team. So like there is a light at the end of the season there, and that'll be the first opportunity, it feels like, for the new management group to kind of, or the new front office group to kind of put their stamp on things and try to make something that's different than what we've had before. Because Ryan Lindgren and Mason Marchment were band-aids at best. It seems like they were kind of like dirty band-aids. It's not really helping, might have added to infection rather than like kept the wound clean. But that's that's a different conversation.
Yeah, I guess so.
They were never going to be the fix, right? Like you were not, this offseason wasn't going to allow you to fix what needed to be fixed, but next offseason does give you the opportunity to fix what needs to be fixed.
Yeah, Jason Botterill is going to be able to put his stamp on this roster in a massive way, in whatever way he can. He's got the assets and the cap space to do it. I'm looking forward to all the future Armchair GM streams, because we can outline all the ways he can do it. And you know what? That's the case whether they win or lose going forward in this season. Like that's just going to be the case. But yeah, something to look out for as we approach that American Thanksgiving milestone, and where are you in the standings and everything. But one of their better chances to go collect some points in the meantime and end that 16 game back-to-back second half loss streak is against the New York Islanders on November 23rd. And of course, that's our watch party at the Queen Anne Beerhall. And I mean, we had so many people in chat, such an active chat. Again, we still missed like so many messages and everything, but we're going to have the watch party and a chance for everyone to talk about this stuff with us in person, which is just my favorite way to do it. And we get to have those real conversations face to face with everybody. And of course, it's going to be at Queen Anne Beerhall. It's going to be an awesome time, and want to thank them one more time for sponsoring this post game live, as they do every single time. Yep, there you go. You get to do the logo point with you being on the right side there, Dylan. So that's always fun. But thank you, everybody, for joining us for this therapy session, and we will see you all next time.